Let me start this off by saying you got to give credit where credit is due. Tommy Fury went in there and he came out with the victory. I thought he was going to lose. A lot of people thought he was going to lose. He proved all of us wrong, went in there and got the split decision over Jake Paul. My hat's off to the man. I made a video where I predicted that Jake Paul was going to go in there and get the win. There were a lot of people in the comments telling me that they had a different opinion. They thought I was crazy for it. They called that one correctly. Their guy went in there and pulled it off. And the other thing I want to mention before I start to break down the actual fight is that this was entertaining. I think one of the first things that you can pull away from the actual event is that each man came in there prepared. They were clearly training hard, and it showed in the ring. And ultimately, that's a win for the fans. Now, going into this one, I thought that Tommy Fury had the better jab and the better footwork. I thought that early on, he would be able to get some good work done with that jab, and then he'd be able to have Jake chasing him around. And ultimately, he was going to be able to get some good work done with it all fight. But I figured that eventually he'd get tired, that Jake would be able to go in there and start timing a counter right hand over the top. Fury had shown susceptibility to the right hand in the past, and Jake had a good one, so it made sense. But Fury never really gassed out. Paul was only able to get the right hand off a few times in the fight. Fury's footwork is what made the difference. It made it difficult for Jake to effectively manage the distance and to get his right hand off. But Jake surprised me with his own jab. He started jabbing with Fury as an answer to Fury's jab. Now, there were a lot of times in the fight where Fury would lead with that jab, and Jake would just immediately answer back with a jab of his own. Fury had faster hands, his shots were more crisp, but his defense was suspect, and Jake had that little reach advantage, so he was able to get in there and he was able to land a lot of jabs that way. It was surprising. He was able to land that left hook a few times pretty clean, snap Fury's heads back in some spots. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough. Tommy Fury was a man that would not be denied. He landed that crisp jab all night. His footwork stifled Jake Paul's offense. And as he got comfortable, he was able to open up more and more. He landed some good combinations, landed some clean right hands. He was even pivoting off well in some spots when Jake would rush in. He'd crack him with some good counters. He looked better than at any other point in his career tonight. When he would open up, there was a lot of times where Jake just didn't have an answer. He just had to put up his guard. He'd have to use some small little movements here and there. He wouldn't even try to throw in between any of Tommy's punches. Fury looked good in there, and because of that, he was able to come away with the victory. And let me just say two other things here. Number one, Fury legitimately got knocked down in the last round, but he was never hurt. That was the perfect example of Jake Paul jabbing with Fury. Caught him square, Fury's head was wide open, off balance, and he went down. And if people want to talk about Jake Paul being a YouTuber, then they also need to be honest and mention all the clean shots that YouTuber caught Tommy with. They're talking about how Tommy's a pro. They're talking about how Tommy's been doing this forever, how this was the first time that Jake Paul was going to be fighting a legitimate boxer. If that's the case and Jake Paul is just a YouTuber, he caught Tommy Fury, the professional boxer, with a lot of clean shots. And I wasn't able to hurt him. He was able to put him down. But that was a lot. Personally, that's not the way I look at it. If you ask me, Jake Paul's been taking this very seriously for the last 3-4 years, and that shows up in the ring. And when he went in there against a professional boxer, beginning, novice, both of them, he was able to look good. It was a close fight. He was able to challenge him in a lot of spots. So keep that in mind when you hear people mention their criticism. And the second thing is that ref inserted himself way too much in that fight tonight. Those point deductions were ridiculous. Just let these guys fight for the most part. Go in there, break up clinches when you need to. Maybe mention somebody leading with their head or pushing off with the elbow or something along those lines. But you're going in there consistently inserting yourself in the fight. It's unnecessary. It's unwarranted. You're going in there. It was almost like you had to take that second point deduction to make up for the first one just so we had an even fight going in. But look, all that being said, when it was all said and done, this was an entertaining event. Jake Paul said he's going to activate the rematch clause. We'll see if that actually ends up being the case. And let me know what you guys think. Did you like this fight? Were you entertained? Did either man look better than you thought? Did he look worse than you thought? How do you think it's going to play out for the rematch? Look, man, Fury looked elated after that fight. Look at the way he's jumping on the top rope here. He's geeked. He's excited. Is he going to look even better? Does he have more confidence now? He's going to come out in the rematch, dominate even more. Is this going to be the boost that Jake Paul needed, and he's going to continue to progress, put up an even better fight, and possibly win in the rematch? Is it all just smoke and mirrors and each man's going to go their separate ways? Let me know what you guys think.